Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are playing original Dungeons & Dragons using Chainmail as my combat system, and this is my more narrative part of the campaign, the hero and the Hobbit. We're using things like the Mythic GM emulator and other oracles to create a little bit more of a narrative part of the campaign here. And last time we adventured with the hero and the Hobbit, they got captured. And that was almost 2 months ago. All right, welcome back to The Hero and the Hobbit. It is July 6th. When I first was planning on doing this part of the solo game, I was thinking I wouldn't use the one-to-one time. I was using that with my other groups because they were kind of competing and stuff, and this is kind of a separate storyline. But then I realized when they kind of failed on that one quest that I would need to keep a calendar because I need to track how long things are taking, and then it just occurred to me it's just simpler to do one-to-one time. However, it was in the game world, May 9th or 10th, I can't remember now, when the party was captured. That's almost 2 months. So in some games or some house rules that people have, they'll do something like a West Marches style of, if the group doesn't leave the dungeon in time, you just roll on a chart to see what happens. And I thought maybe I would just sit here and throw some cards down using Mythic to say, okay, so what ended up happening? And let's just get them back somewhere or whatever. But then I thought, no, there could be a reason why they've chosen, right, or not chosen to be prisoners for the last 2 months. So where we ended, just in case you didn't see the last one, was the hero and the halfling both were knocked unconscious by the elite guards. They had broken into this patriarch's tower, which the patriarch had been taken, by some kind of necromancer and charmed, and basically tricked the magic user, Esme's mentor, to go. Like, they invited him, come to dinner, and they disappeared. So basically the story is that they came actually to recruit this magic user. The magic user instead recruited them to go find their mentor. When they got there, they found this patriarch that's supposed to be lawful. Their place has been corrupted by evil. They decided to sneak in and try to rescue the mentor, figuring that would help out, and instead they were captured. But as our two fighters, who had stripped off their armor and stuff, and then got into a bad situation, were captured, the magic user used a charm person spell on a scroll to charm the guard who was kind of alone that captured her. She said, okay, pretend like you're capturing me, take this scroll, take my spell book, take these skeleton keys, and come back to my, come to my prison tonight and give me my stuff and so I can get out. And that's where we ended it. So here we are 2 months later. Why didn't they leave? Or why didn't they get out? So we're going to use the Mythic deck here. Now, again, I'm still not using the full Mythic system, but I'm kind of trying to incorporate it into what I'm doing. So the way Mythic works, the way I'm using it anyways, is you're tracking this chaos factor. It goes from 1 to 9. Effectively, that number there decides, how many cards you draw based on the likely or unlikelihoodness of something to happen. You'll see this work in a second. 5 is the middle. And actually what happened was they were on 4 and the scene went against them last time because they got captured, which moved it to 5. It goes up when the scene goes against them. And actually, they've been in prison for 2 months. So I'm actually going to move it up to 6 as we start this first scene. Now, normally with Mythic, you'd have an expected scene. So I would have started with, if we had done this right away, the guard shows up and helps them to break out. But clearly, that didn't happen. So the question now is, why didn't it happen? So for me, I'm thinking to myself, there's a powerful necromancer here who was able to capture a patriarch and a wizard. They're not a fool. When the guards captured the group, and then the necromancer questioned the guards, there's probably a very, very good chance, in fact, we're going to call it very likely, it is very likely that they threw a detect magic out there to see if there's anything weird going on, and sure enough, the guard was charmed, and that was nixed. So, could it be that the magic user who could have got away ended up giving themselves up and giving away all their stuff to a guard that effectively was dispelled before they came to see them? I think, again, that's very likely. So the way this works is we look at our little chart here, and very likely tells me that we draw 3 cards, and if any of them are yes, then that means yes, that's what happened, right? The magic user came up and figured it out. But because they are at chaos factor 6, they're going to go up 1. Okay, so that moves to has to be. So basically what that means is we're going to draw 4 cards, and if any of them are yes, then that means that yes, they got found out and effectively they've been captured. And we'll figure out some more story from there. So let me draw the first card. No. And again, if any of the 4 cards say yes, then it means yes. And we stop as soon as we get a yes. No. No. And yes, I did shuffle these. Yes. Okay. Well, that's what happened. So she waited patiently. You know, that classic scene. She's in the room and it's midnight. She hears the guard outside the door. I'm here, Esme. The lock clicks. The door opens and standing in the doorway is the necromancer, who laughs and says, now you are also my prisoners. Well, that was 2 months ago. So let's figure out what's happened since. What did the necromancer have in mind for them? I could say, did they keep them here and stuff like that? But I think what we're going to do is we're going to get a general idea. Now, you can do this with Mythic by seeking by doing an action, but I actually have been using this deck here, which is the Signs, which is from Tales of Argosa. So I'm mixing up my things here. So we're going to draw 2 cards here, and we're going to try to get a little story out of this. Okay, so immediately, Key, Magician, and then we have like Learned Conjuring. So since she is a apprentice of this wizard, they're keeping her here to force the wizard. I know they were charmed, but maybe, you know, over time the wizard might have been breaking the charm, or maybe it's just easier to not force them, right? They're basically using her as, you have to do what I say or we're going to, you know, kill your apprentice. And the wizard has been going along. So that's why she's been kept alive. And just for, you know, story beats and all, we'll just keep everybody together, I think. But I don't know. You know, would they keep the group together? Really, they want to keep her by herself. So she may get pulled out of this story for a second, and then she's going to become, well, she's already an NPC, but basically a second storyline. Then we'll figure out what's happening with the heroes. So, you know, I don't know. I think if it was a sword and sorcery story or a James Bond movie, they'd probably keep them together, right? Because villains are geniuses, but yet they always make silly mistakes. So I'm just going to make it a straight up 50-50. And since we're in Chaos Factor 6, it's going to go up 1. So 50-50, I draw 1 card, any yes. So I'm going to draw 2 cards, any yes. If I draw 2 cards, if any one of these is yes, they're together. Otherwise, they're not together. We'll move her off to the side and we'll figure out what happened with these guys. First card. No. Second card. Yes. Exceptional yes. So exceptional yes means, you know, the best possible situation. So somehow this necromancer, maybe they're confused, maybe the wizard was smart enough to trick them, whatever. Somehow this necromancer is convinced that all 3 of them must be kept alive and together, or the wizard won't do what needs to happen. This is good for us because we have a better team going on here. I will say, by the way, that we'll see when combat comes up. I kind of gave the hero the short end of the stick a little bit. We'll get into that when it comes because I actually forgot about a rule. But anyways, so here we are. They are in prison. They've been there for 2 months. They are stripped of armor. They are stripped of weapons. She had cast her only spell. She doesn't have her spell book. So no spells, no weapons, no armor. They are basically in this prison cell. They are being held there so that this wizard will comply. Now, it's been 2 months, so clearly this place is kind of messed up. So I'm going to say it's very likely that, which is 3, we're going to bump it up to almost certain, so 4 NESs, that this process that the necromancer was doing, corrupting this place, has already finished. They've got the place fully corrupted. All those who were incredibly loyal to the patriarch are now loyal to the necromancer. So let me see if that's true. No? Yes. Okay, so that's true. So now all these guards are corrupted. Maybe they've become a little bit more like beast-like. You know, you can see it in their eyes. They're corrupted by evil. So They may or may not be beyond saving. We don't know that. So we'll probably still tread lightly and not, not just slaughter them. But what we want to do is hopefully we'll get out of here, if we can, but get, the wizard and get out of here. Again, I think I said this before. I don't think it's practical to try to get the patriarch until we have the wizard saved. So the goal for this group is going to be to get out of here, get the wizard, ideally, and get out of this area and back to some safe haven so that they can, make a plan to come back and take this fortification. So as I said, it's been 2 months. They've been kept in this room, maybe once a week or something. The necromancer allows actually, they don't even do that. They probably have the wizard look upon them with a crystal ball. So we haven't seen the wizard in a long time. There are guards in this room out here, right? Which, by the way, this is Axbane's Deck of Many Dungeons. This room is, it's basically I'm not going to use this for the guards because, well, I could at this point. The necromancer has now taken over. Maybe there are monstrous guards here. Let's see. I don't know. I feel like they're just corrupting the people that are here, and the guards are going to be effectively, human still. So that's unlikely. So I'm going to say it's 2 cards, but it goes up to 1. So I'm going to draw 1 card. If it's a yes, then there could be a monster guard. Otherwise, it's just going to be people. No. Okay. And a remote event. Okay. So and I've been doing remote events wrong. So, okay. So a remote event happens. Now, I don't have a list, and this is the way this is supposed to work. And maybe in future sessions, I'll get tighter into this. But basically, when we have a remote event, we want to see, what kind of remote event it is. So what we do is we pull a card. Remote event, which that happened to me before. So we'll pull it again. We want to get something different. NPC negative. Okay, so what that means is some NPC that's not here, something happens to them that's negative. Now, what we're going to do, since I don't have a list, I'm just going to kind of go through the NPCs that are part of this. We have the wizard, the necromancer, the patriarch, and let's get one more. I feel like there was another person. Oh, our friend that was back in town. Forgetting his name right now. Right in the comments, if you remember. The one that we originally went to the caverns to kind of right or wrong. But anyways, so we'll count them as the 4th person. So let's make a D4 to see who it affects. Is that a 4? It's a 4. So it's them. Okay. I'll throw up on the screen, hopefully, the person's name. So this is, if I remember, he was a dwarf fighter. I don't have my notes out because I wasn't planning on doing this, of course. He was a dwarf fighter, and he had effectively left somebody behind at this temple, the snake god temple, and then he went back with the party to help them resolve it. He didn't want to leave, but the party made him swear to leave and they were going to help. But of course, now it's been, I think, 3 months because there was a month in between the others. So he's probably sitting there going, they're never going to come back. So the likelihood of the negative event is that he did something. But let's actually use Mythic to see what it is. So what you do is you take 2 cards, and we're looking at the actions, and you put them together like this. So we have 2 action words. So you can see this word here and this word here. Let me see if I can actually do it. Yeah, so you take these 2 words and put them together. Recruit. Outside. Okay, well, that's simple enough. He basically got sick of waiting for the party, and he recruited a group of adventurers to go with him. I'm going to make a note of that. Okay, so that might actually be resolved, or we might have to go rescue them when we figure out what's going on here. So, yeah, he got sick of waiting. Oh, and since it's negative, well, I mean, it was negative because the PC wanted him to wait. I'm going to say there's a very, very good chance that they just failed. We'll just deal with that right now. I'm going to say it's very likely that they all perished because it was very dangerous. So 3 cards, any yeses, they're dead. No? Yes, exceptional. All right. I'm going to say yes, exceptional means they went, they got wiped out, but maybe like one of their pack handlers ran back. And the reason why that's the exceptional is because I want the PCs to know that NPC died. Because that's exactly what I would do to my player characters. So they're going to feel bad about it, but they've been in prison for 2 months. What can they do? So anyways, that's our remote event, and they are together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to figure out how many guards are here. I think the likelihood is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that there are, we'll roll, of course, some dice out here. Instead of figuring out how many guards, because I know I was saying that some of the guards are up to 3 hit dice, let's say that we'll do a D3 plus 4 hit dice. Okay, so that's 2 plus 4 is 6. So there's 6 hit dice worth of guards. So that could be any number from 1 to 6 guards. If it's 6 and they're 1 hit die. There's 5 guards. So basically what we've got is 4 1 hit die guard and 2 hit dice guards. And I think what we're going to say is that the 2 hit die guard is actually the one that's going to open the door. So what's happening here, we're going to see. This is my expected scene, and we're going to see if this happens or not. The expected scene is that they've been planning for this. They are going to ambush this guard and try to escape. And they want to do it as quiet as possible, but there's a lot of people out there. They have no weapons, so we're going to use my basic grappling rules, because that's how we do it. Actually, yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's the easiest way to do it. So I don't have it out here, but the basic way that the grappling rules work is you roll 1d6 per hit die against the enemy rolling 1d6 per hit die. And that's basically effectively it. And you do damage equal to the difference and that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is when the door opens to get the food, the hero is going to grab this person and try to bring him into the room and slam him against the wall while the halfling is going to jump out and try to tackle one of the guards in the room. And the magic user is going to do the same. So let's see how this goes. So the expected scene is the guards are casual. It's been like 2 months, so they're not that worried about the player characters doing anything. So the expected scene is that they open the door casually. The one that has 2 hit dice walks in with the tray, you know, not really thinking anything's going to go down, which means that they will get a chance of surprise. So let's see. Is it the expected scene? We flip this over and we look. Scene setup. 1 through 6 expected. We're 6, so yes, that's what happens. They come in casual. They're like, oh, hey, here's your food for the day. And, you know, because they've been acting cowed. And the hero just whoosh goes at him. So we're going to make some dice rolls now. All right, so number 1. So we're entering into combat. The question is the hero able to get surprise? On a 1 or a 2, the enemy is surprised. They are not. Okay, so they're going to get to fight back. So the hero is throwing 4 dice. The enemy is throwing 2 because they're 2 hit dice. Wow, okay. These 2 cancel each other out. These 2 cancel each other out. So the hero does 9 hit points of damage against this 2 hit die person. Let's roll their hit points. 6. Okay, so the hero takes out the guy with the plate. And we're going to say, obviously, because they walk into the room, they don't have any weapons on them. The halfling, though, is jumping out of the door and going to try to tackle one of the guards in the room that actually has a weapon. So what we're going to do, but again, because they're grappling them, okay, I'm going to roll initiative. Because since we didn't get surprise on them, if we don't get initiative, the person's going to be able to use a weapon to fight back. All right, so here we go. Initiative. White is the player characters. Okay, we lose. So the halfling jumps out to attack the 1 hit die guard in the room. The guard's going to use their spear to attack him. So we're going to actually use man-to-man combat. So man-to-man combat uses hit points. And we do weapon versus armor. So the guards in here, you know, they're heavy foot, so they're probably in like a chainmail. So they are wearing, let's see, heavy foot. They wouldn't have a shield. So here we go. Chain. They're going unarmed. So he needs to roll an 11 on 2d6 to get them. The guard, on the other hand, is using a spear against no armor, which only needs an 8. So this could be bad for the halfling. So halfling, it's all simultaneous. Let me roll the guard first. So he needs to roll a, well, actually he goes first because his weapon is longer. See, did that wrong. Okay, so quick thing. Because of the way this combat works, you kind of use a different kind of initiative. If the weapon is 2 classes or more longer, they automatically get to go first. So they want initiative, so it doesn't actually matter. But then the next round, because the halfling's weapon is so short, they'll always go first. So this first round, the 1 hit die guy gets 1 attack, and he's looking to get spear versus no armor is 8. 10. All right, so he does 1d6 damage. Oh boy, 6 hit points of damage against our halfling who has 13 hit points. And hit point damage in this is not like, you know, if you've been watching this, normally you get hit and you just kind of pop back up after combat. Hit point damage is permanent. So, well, not permanent, but they have to take a long time to heal. So this is actual real damage. He gets stabbed through and he's going to try to beat them down with, so he's got to roll 11 or better. He gets +1, but that's 5, so that's nothing. Nope, 8. All right, so 9. So he does no damage the first round, but then he immediately is going to try to get them again. I think what's going to happen this round, though, is the hero is going to charge out as well. And so is this magic user. So basically, if we look at the room, we've got 4 one-hit die monsters. Guards. I'll roll the hit points as they get hit. So we have 4 guards. We've got the halfling. We have the elf, who's functioning as a magic user, and we have the hero. So the hero, again, nobody has a weapon, but I'm going to say, because she's going to take the tray of food, I'm going to count that as a club. So basically, she's going to be able to attack with a club. So she's going to come charging out, and she's going to, attack. The halfling is going to try to continue to fight the person they're fighting, and the elf is going to dive on somebody. Actually, they're going to help the halfling. We can get as many attacks as possible in this room. And I think because of that, if the party wins initiative, I'm going to allow it to go back to grappling rules again. In other words, they're going to get to tackle them. So let's see where the initiative falls. They do. Okay. So they're going to tackle. So I'm going to use my grappling rules for that. And the hero's going to run out with the platter and try to whack somebody. So movement happens first. And then missile, which is no missile, and then melee. So, and again, it's all simultaneous. So the guy with the spear is going to still try to spear. He's still trying to attack the halfling. He successfully hits him for, oh my god, another 6. So the halfling is really wounded with only 1 hit point left. Oh my god. Okay. But they're 2 and she's 1. We're going to roll 3d6 against their 1d6 to see if they subdue them. Which they do pretty sound. Well, they got, this eliminates this. Well, no, this, let's look at it this way. Let me just do the math. It's easy when the dice roll up. So they've got 6. We got 10. So they do 4. We do 4 hit points of damage. Let's see how many hit points they had. 5. So they're actually still up. That spearman. The hero charges out. And for this, we're going to use the troop combat because it's 3 of them against 1, which is how this works. So 3 against 1. A club would be light foot. So they're attacking her. There's 3 of them. She's light foot as well. So it's actually impossible for them to kill her in this kind of combat. So they're going to throw their 3. So, sorry. I know I'm going fast because I got excited for a second. So let me stop for a second. This happens sometimes. So we're basically adjudicating 2 different kinds of combat here because the way this works is, and normally like next round, we're just going to turn it all into abstract combat. But because this was kind of sectioned off, I'm allowing 2 different kinds of combat. The man-to-man is a little more precise. The abstract is for bigger group combat. Well, the hero themselves is fighting 3 characters. That's a 3-to-1 difference. But also, she would always use abstract against non-hero types because she's a different type. She's 1 type above. So effectively what happens is they're heavy foot. Again, they have spears. Heavy foot versus light foot gets 1 die per figure, 5 or 6 hits. So they're going to roll 3 dice. But the reality is that with 3 dice, they can't actually kill her because she's 4 hit die. But I'll roll it anyways. I think I may have already rolled, but either way, they didn't get any hits. Now, she is Lightfoot with this club attacking Heavyfoot. So she gets 1 die per 2 figures with a 6. So she rolls 2 dice, and any hits will be hits. And she also gets none. Okay, so she comes out and she's basically swinging this platter around, holding off 3 guys with spears, as these 2 kind of wrestle this other this other person with a spear. Then there's kind of like a momentary break and everybody kind of staggers back. And what we effectively have is the group attacking the other side, right? It's basically going to be a big cluster. So now we have a big enough combat that we're effectively going to use abstract for the whole group. She has a club. They have no weapons, but nobody's gone down. So for this first round, so she's going to stand in front of the elf. So she's protecting the elf. So for the first round, the group is going to be considered unarmed because you do the average. So the group is unarmed, okay? Unarmed versus heavy foot is 1 die per 3 figures. So again, we have 4, 6, 7. So we have 2 dice, with 6s being kills. So we'll do that first. Rolling 2 dice. Any 6s are kills. 1 6. Okay. So the party now takes out. Let's see which one they took out, because there is one that's actually hurt hit point wise. And if we go back to the other table, okay, no, we take out number 2. So one of them drops. Okay. So if one more drops, it's going to break their morale, or they'll have to roll for morale. But they're going to attack back. And again, it's simultaneous, so they're all going to get to attack. There's 4 of them. Heavy foot versus light foot, 1 die per figure. So they're going to roll 4 dice. 5s and 6s are hits. And any hits will be split up between the hero and the halfling because they're being defended. 2 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. Okay, that actually takes the halfling out. Now, I'm going to roll a d6. On the roll of a 6, they're still up. Now, these guards are trying to subdue. So they're just going to be knocked unconscious, but still, that's not good. No. Okay, so the halfling is knocked unconscious. Ooh, that is not good. However, 1 guard is out. The hero picks up their spear. So now, into round 2. The hero, with a weapon. This is what's interesting. This is why I messed up before. Evaluates their dice. So heavy foot versus heavy foot is 1 die per figure with a 6 hitting. So 4 dice. Because they are fighting non-heroic types, all 4 of these count as 6s, and then they get to roll for additional hits. So 4 plus no more. So they made 4 hits against 3 1-hit die creatures. The hero picks up a spear and quickly slaughters the rest of the group. That's what I didn't do last time, that extra bonus attack. It's only when it's a hero type attacking non-heroic types is when that takes place. So effectively, this halfling fell to the ground. They run up to them. They're actually bleeding out. They only have 1 hit point left. So if they encounter like poison or anything that does hit point damage, they might be in bad shape. These guards are heavy foots. They're dressed in chain shirts, but they don't have, they're not halfling sized. So I'm not going to be able to armor the halfling. The elf can put on the chain shirt, though, as can our hero, and everybody can pick up a spear. And even though they're a magic user, they can wear the armor because they're an elf. They just can't cast in it. So then they don't have a spell to cast. So currently we're chainmail and shield. No, sorry, chainmail and spear, spear. Okay. And we're out of the room. Okay. Wow. Oh man, I almost lost my poor halfling. We would have had to get him resurrected if that happened. You know how that goes. But, all right. 1 hit point right now. Oh, he was already down to 11, so we're going to call him 1 at this point. So I probably should have. But he would have been healed over that time. You get 1 week of rest, completely heals all your hit points. So, what does she have? I actually didn't mark it down. So if we get into combat with her, we'll figure it out. All right. So yeah, they just have spears. Do they have anything else worthy? They probably have keys. So we pick those up. And it's unlikely we've left this area. So I'm going to say this is totally unexplored. And we're going to use Akbane's Deck of Many Dungeons. What happens is when you reach a dead end, you take a quest goal card and you flip it over. So we'll do that, and that's where the wizard will be, because that's what we're looking for. If we have not found like a side entrance, like another way to get out by then, the next quest goal, we'll just set a second one, will be an entrance card, which will be, entrance/exit. Okay, I'll deal with that when the time comes. Whew. Not good. All right, so since they are in the weakest condition, I'm going to actually put the elf in the back, the hero in the front, and the halfling in the middle. I guess I'll do them this way. That makes more sense. So we're going to do wandering monsters every other turn, and we're going to do them on a roll or a 1 or a 2. So that scene went in our favor, although the halfling got hurt. Yeah, I still think it went in our favor. So at the end of the scene, the scene resulted in a character setbacks or decreased by 1. Otherwise, it goes up. Okay, so, well, they got hurt. But they got weapons. I think overall it was a win, so I'm going to make this a 7. Aha. I did that backwards. Looking at it again. All the mythic people are probably yelling at me. It should have been 4, because it goes down if it's a setback. And then now it's down to 3. Okay, I thought some of those answers were weird based on that, but okay, that's fine. We are where we are. So we are at Chaos Factor 3. We're out of the room. The first scene's over. And we're now going to take this out. So the next scene is going to begin. The plan is to get the wizard. So the next scene ideally is we leave the room and wander through the hallways, not encountering anyone, and find the wizard. But you can't do it that simple. So the next part of the scene that's going to make the sense is we get out of the room without anybody knowing that we escaped. So it does that happen. Effectively, if the scene is interrupted or changed, then we'll have to figure out what that means. But for now, if the scene goes the way we want, then we're going to get out of the room. So I'm not even going to roll to see if we hear anybody on the side of the door, because we'll deal with that. So basically, do we get through this door without anybody knowing what just happened? We look at the scene setup, as expected, 1 through 9. So yes, there's nothing outside the door. We draw a card. All right. All right, so we're going to plan on, we don't have our black clothes. I mean, I'm assuming they basically stripped us down. We're just like in basic clothes. I mean, we have chain shirts now, but we're effectively in just like basic clothes, but we're all going to be barefoot. I mean, they probably left us barefoot because that's not a good way to be. So our plan is going to be to sneak past these rooms. If you've been enjoying these actual plays, and I hope you have, please do take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the good YouTube stuff. Check the description below. You'll find a link to my Patreon and Discord server. I'll talk to you soon.